regime change in Iran. Would you like to see regime change? Are you hoping that the Islamic Republic is finished? Some people are licking their lips at the prospect of it. Other people are a bit more skeptical. Let's go back in time and watch a clip from Iraq. We're going to watch a lot of Iraqi footage tonight, and some Iranian, and some other places. Look at this suggestion for how the issue could be resolved.
نحن نقول بشكل صريح إذا كان هذه الدعوة صحيحة ليحدد الرئيس الأمريكي هو كرئيس ومجموعة وياه، ونختار المجموعة المقابلة من العراقيين، ونختار أرض محايدة في العالم، ويكون كوفي عنان هو رقيب، ونستعمل سلاح واحد، الرئيس مقابل الرئيس، نائب الرئيس مقابل نائب الرئيس، الوزير الفلاني مقابل الوزير المماثل الأمريكي، وتحدث مبارزة، واللي يموت يموت ويظل طيب، ونحمي الشعب الأمريكي والعراقي إذا كانوا جادين.
I challenge you to a duel. Is that how it was in the old days? Can you imagine if the leaders decided to settle it in an honourable way? Let's meet on neutral ground and battle it out. Is that what's happening? Is what we saw in Syria a proxy war? Is what happened in Iraq, was that a proxy war? Are these the neutral grounds where people battle it out, where different sides battle it out? America haven't fought a war on home turf for a very long time. It always seems to be an away match. Let's reminisce about Iraq under Saddam. Here was his son. Have a look at this clip. That's how they like to celebrate a good time in Iraq. Is that evidence that Saddam Hussein was a lunatic dictator with a couple of lunatic sons and firing an AK in the air in parties? Primitive people. No wonder we had to go over there and overthrow their government, overthrow their dictator, and install a new one. Is Iraq a democracy? Is democracy flourishing over there? Some of the people that are critical of Iran and skeptical of this idea that Iran is some beacon of resistance and the head of the axis of resistance. And we know that Iran funded many of the armed groups that resist Israel. But some people like to remind us that Iran was quite open to the idea. Iran facilitated the invasion of Iraq. Similarly, Iran didn't exactly stand up and do anything to prevent the invasion of Afghanistan. Was Iran happy to see its stronger rival neighbours on each side, Iraq to the west and Afghanistan to the east? Was the Islamic Republic happy to see them taken out, to see regime change in those countries, and now is suffering the same fate? Did the divide and rule policy work? Turn one against another. Let's have a look at a strange sign that has appeared in Syria, another nation that underwent a regime change. So we went from Bashar al-Assad, and we've got al-Julani in charge now, or Ahmed al-Shara, as he now. Look at that. So that's strange. Why is his face next to Tayyip Erdogan and Saddam Hussein? Ahmed al-Jara is an Islamist. Tayyip Erdogan is also an Islamist of the Muslim Brotherhood ilk. Saddam Hussein was a secular nationalist. Saddam Hussein was from the Ba'ath Party, Hezbollah Ba'ath, the same party originally that Bashar al-Assad was from, but of course the Syrian Ba'ath Party and the Iraqi Ba'ath Party split. They went separate ways and became different factions during the Iran-Iraq war because Syria, under the Baathists, pledged its allegiance to the Iranian Islamic Republic, and for that reason they never reconciled each other. So that's interesting to see the new Syrian president who replaced Bashar al-Assad on the same page, on the same poster as Saddam Hussein. And I think that is Tayyip Erdogan. Who's the other one on the... Oh, they've got Saddam, Erdogan, the Saudi crown prince. And who's that on the far left? What do these all have in common? Well, they are Sunni Muslims, but not all of them are politically Islamist. Saddam Hussein, a secular Arab nationalist who used to drink, who used to smoke a cigar, and kept a beard and kept a moustache and not a beard. Very much a secular Arab nationalist. But later in life, he did become more religious. He was always seen holding the Quran during that famous court case, which he lost in the end and lost his life when he was sentenced to death. I won't show the footage of that. And Saddam Hussein did add Allahu Akbar, God is great, to the flag in his own writing, I believe, in his own handwriting. So he did warm up to Islamism, or the idea of being Muslim as an identity, certainly in the later part of his life, and would have been popular with the Sunni community in Iraq, that 30 to 40%, less than half the population. Remember, wherever the imperial powers have gone, they have left behind a minority in power. So you had a Sunni Arab nationalist running majority Shia Iraq, and you had a Alawi Shia Arab nationalist running majority Sunni Syria. And Syria now have a Sunni president in charge of their mainly Sunni country. Is that what matters? Is it the fact you've got someone who comes from the majority community? Is that what's important to be democratic? Or is it important to have the best man for the job? Or woman? Could be a woman. Iran and Iraq. Here is the war that split the Ba'ath Party, that split the Arab and Muslim world. I've got a comment from Tadeusz Zalkowski. Hello, Tadeusz. My guess is that you might be a Polish viewer, so welcome to you. Dziękuję for tuning in. Let's have a look at some historical footage. Oh no, it might just be a picture of it. But this was when the war broke out between Iran and Iraq. And remember, Iraq was armed by the West to go and attack this newly formed Islamic Republic in 1979, when the pro-Western dictator, the Shah, was toppled and a new Islamist dictator took his place. And at that moment, the West backed Iraq, although, as Henry Kissinger said, it's a shame they both can't win. President of Syria visited Donald Trump recently, and Trump sprayed him with a perfume.
This is men's fragrance.
Men's fragrance.
Yeah. This is it. Let's look. Here we go. It's the best fragrance. Come here, please. I have more here, sir. Okay. So what we'll do is just take that, Joe, put it in, and then the other one is for your wife. How many ones? One for one. You guys I never know, right?
With you guys, I never know. I love that. Donald Trump cracking a how many wives joke have you got to the president of Australia. You never know with these guys how many wives you got. You're allowed up to 4, right? We only allowed 1, although we can have as many mistresses as we want, but only 1 wife. Amazing. And then he whacked him quite firmly on the arm. I love all these videos of body language analysis on like who shakes the hand and who's got the upper hand when you have the handshake. Donald Trump is quite good at that. He never shakes hands sitting down. He always has the upper hand. He's always asserting his dominance with his body language. Vladimir Putin, another one, very strong body language. We know he sort of walks with one arm stiff because he's got like a gun in his pocket, and I think that comes from his time in the KGB. But the body language, if you're a body language expert, get in touch. I'd love to have you on the channel. Maybe you can analyse my body language. I know I've got terrible posture, but I think that's from years of having bad posture. But I wanted to come on and talk about regime change. When was the first regime change? When was the first time that the West, Britain, France or America, those are your big 3. You've also got the Spanish and the Portuguese, and the Germans tried it. When was the first time that someone came in, took out the leader and put in another one? Is it the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Al Saud, the Saud family that were backed by Britain, and the Ottoman Empire lost control of that part of the Middle East, and this family, Al Saud, to this day, they are the custodians of the 2 holy mosques, aren't they? Mecca and Medina, Haramain. And that family was put in power by the Western hand with the agreement, with the hope that they would do their bidding. And it's been many generations since, and Al Saud, Saudi Arabia, are still loyal to Britain and America. They are allies. They're not our strongest ally. We know who that is, apparently. But they are considered an ally, and they are completely undemocratic. It's absolute monarchy. Yet somehow that installed puppet government, regime, it's never been questioned. Why are we not supporting protesters in the streets of Saudi Arabia? And I'm sure that other states in the Gulf, Bahrain is another country where the majority of people are one sect, but the ruling elite and the prime minister are from a minority sect. So wherever they've gone, a minority in power is always beneficial to the outside powers that want to retain an element of control over the lands that they once conquered. And pitting the Al Saud family against the Ottoman Empire, and then pitting the Arabs against the Ottoman Empire. These days, or in later years, it's been more common for the Western powers, ironically given what happened in 9/11, but it seems they have backed the Islamists against the Arab nationalists. So you had Saddam Hussein, an Arab nationalist. He was removed. Bashar al-Assad, secular Arab nationalist. He's been replaced by an Islamist, a former member of Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda, in a previous incarnation, were the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. Again, they were armed and funded by the West so that they could go against the Soviet Union. So during that era, when the Soviet Union, another secular powerhouse, was arming left-wing militant groups in the Middle East, the West would use the Islamists. They would back the Islamists against Arab nationalists, against Russia. In Chechnya, the Chechen rebels, when they were fighting against Russia, that was supported by the West. Same in the Balkans. The Bosnian Mujahideen were also supported by the West, perhaps rightly so, because what went on in the Balkans was horrific, and there were atrocities like Srebrenica and other atrocities against the Bosnian Muslim population, and even Iran, even Shia Iran, the Islamic Republic, sent support for the Muslims in the Balkans at the time. But there's countless examples of the West supporting Islamists. And then something like 9/11 happens, and then it's the reason to go and attack the Islamists. We need to invade because these Islamists are a danger to everybody. Yet prior to that, they were armed and funded. And Arab nationalists were supported before that, when you had the Ottoman Empire, a claimant to the Caliphate, the Muslim state, and the West, through Lawrence of Arabia, went and drummed up support for resistance. Let's break away from the Ottoman Empire. You're Arabs and you're being run by the Turks. Why not have your own country? Why not fight for your independence from the Turkish? And many Arabs did. And when the Ottoman Empire sided with Germany in the First World War, Lawrence of Arabia recruited Arabs to fight against the Ottoman Empire, and when they won, instead of rewarding them with their own country, with their self-determination that they were promised, like the Irish were promised the same thing. You fight for us in the First World War, you're going to have home rule, and we ended up having the partition of Ireland. Ireland didn't receive its full unified independence. Instead, we had a partition, and the Arab lands that had sided with and fought alongside Lawrence of Arabia were carved up, chopped up into different regions. The French took part of it, Lebanon and Syria. The British took the British Mandate of Palestine and Transjordan, and you had new kings selected to run these countries, and Iraq was part of that as well. You had King Faisal. So you could call that a regime change, removing the Ottoman Empire and installing new puppets in the region, and eventually those kings were overthrown by Arab nationalists, this Ba'athist movement, which was founded by many Christians, actually, were originally part of this secular Arab nationalist movement. I think Michel Aoun is one of the founders of the Ba'ath Party, Christian Arabs, and having lived for a few hundred years under the banner of Islam, and having lived as religious minorities in that part of the world, you can understand how the Christian community might want to emphasize their Arab identity rather than their religious identity. Instead of saying, well, this is a majority Muslim country and I'm a Christian living in a Muslim country, let's all be Arabs, whether Arab Christian or Arab Muslim. And really, it should be Arab Jew. There were many Arab Jews living, especially in Iraq at that time, and that population has completely dwindled since 1948 onwards. Very sadly, I would say. It is a great loss to the Arab world to have lost their Jewish populations. So, was the Ottoman Empire a regime change? The Ottomans are Turkish. I think we all know that. This was the first time that the Caliphate, the claim to be the ruler of the entire Muslim world, the first time it was outside the Arab world, the first time non-Arabs had claimed that rightful title. And you might say, well, why not? There's nothing in Islam that promotes any kind of nationalism or that says one race should be superior to another. But other theories, if you're someone that says, well, the leadership should be in the hands of the Ahlul Bayt, the family of the Prophet, well, it's going to be in an Arab bloodline. And in fact, the Ottoman Empire married into descendants of the Prophet, I believe, in order to legitimize their claim to be the leaders of Islam. They did actually marry into bloodlines that were descended from the Prophet. So even they wanted to kind of tick that box to say we are the rightful rulers of the Muslim world. And remember, they wanted to be regarded as like an Islamic Roman Empire, so they were encroaching on Europe as well. Who arranged it so that the Ottoman Empire could take power? I don't know. Going way back in history. Was that a regime change? Do you consider it a regime change? And what gets you in the crosshairs for regime change? Is it the fact that you force women to wear a scarf? Is it the fact that you have a traditional society, or that you're not a democracy? What is it that singles a country out for regime change? Why Iran and not the other many dictatorships that there are in the Middle East? Or is it just the fact there's an uprising, an organic uprising, people are taking to the streets, they've had enough, 47 years, and the 47th president might help them? What is it that singles a country out to be helped, to be given freedom? There's a meme that does the rounds, and I'm not sure how much credence I would give it. I haven't done my fact checking, but there's a list of countries that don't have a certain type of bank, a bank run by a particular family. I haven't checked it. It looks like a funny thing to throw out there that people will lap up without questioning. So I need to fact check it. Does the type of bank that you have single your country out to have a new leader that will accept that kind of bank? I don't know. Certainly money has got something to do with this. When Colonel Gaddafi wanted to have a single African currency linked to oil, I believe, he became he was in the crosshairs. Look, we got a call, so we're gonna say hello and good evening. Who's with us?
It's Macropedia.
Welcome, Macropedia, the Oracle. You know all about regime change. You've been involved in a few.
Yeah, no, I was also going to just mention, it's obviously the petrodollar, because if you remember the story of Saddam, the reason why Iraq got invaded in the first place, because he wanted to change the petrodollar to petro-euro or something.
Okay, so a similar story then.
Yeah, I think there's always that in history. If you look, I mean, if you follow the money and oil, you always see that it's leaders that have come to change, or that have threatened to change the petrodollar to something different, isn't it?
So,
and obviously they couldn't, and obviously the currencies in the world, well, petrol currency is dollar, and if that changes, it's going to hit certain economies, isn't it?
Dr. Mossadegh of Iran, didn't he want to nationalise the oil?
Indeed. That's exactly what he wanted to do as well. But that's the thing, and that's where it initiated from. Obviously, I see this pattern along the way a lot, and obviously it causes revolution. I mean, every country that probably has oil in it, there's always some sort of distraction, and they're always going to cause some sort of revolution or some sort of madness, should we say?
So Venezuela, huge oil reserves.
Yeah.
Iran has oil. Iraq had oil.
Yeah.
Maybe you've nailed
obviously,
it.
if it's not oil, then they'll go like Africa. They'll take all other resources if possible, not just all types of commodity, isn't it?
Because one day oil will run out, and we will all have to get an electric car.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Of course, to be honest, this is, if you go back, I mean, this is where the oil industry started. I mean, medicine changed because of it. They started to use oil for everything, not as well as just plastic, but they also use it for medicine, capsules and all sorts. So this is where they decided, I think it was the Rockefellers that actually did it back in the day. I can't remember the exact date, to be honest. But
okay. Another big banking family. I haven't mentioned the other one, but Rockefeller, another banking family.
They're both the double R's.
There you go.
R&R.
Hassan Iqbal in the chat saying BRICS will change it. That's Brazil, Russia. What does the I stand for? India, not Ireland. Yeah. India, China, and South Africa. Yeah. Maybe it's all because of oil. What do you think about Iran, Mac? Is it a regime change? Are you optimistic about a different leader?
Alright, so what it is, the government is messed up, like, in the sense that they claim to be Islamic, but they are not. I mean, in Islam, especially in the Quran, there's one line that stands out and should stand out for most Muslims, is La ikraha fi din, which means there's no compulsion in religion. So if you're basing your laws on the Quran and Sharia law, well, you should look at the Quran, and if it's saying you can't force religion on people, how are you forcing hijab on people? You see? So we got to look at and dissect the government and see that obviously they're not really Islamic as such. So, and because of these little factors and these little discrepancies that they've caused, it's made people come off the religion even. So it's their fault that majority of Iranians don't even like Islam anymore. So I don't blame them because of the way they've gone on, but they are non-Islamic, and it's not the way that they should definitely realize that the way they've moved on is like a dictatorship.
Is that because of what the government have done, or is it because Iranians were forced to become Muslim and they never really wanted to be?
Well, again, they are forcing this religion down people's throats, and it's not an Islamic thing to be doing, because in the Quran it clearly states you can't force religion on people, right? So ultimately, it's trying to control its people, and the means it does it, it's terrible. I mean, look at the way that they cut out the internet just so they deal with their own people in their own way. Like, it's just terrible. It shows it's a non-Islamic way of doing everything. Like, the way they do it is just non-Islamic. I don't know who's behind. Obviously, Khamenei is the guy, but really, is it? I don't think so, because he's old. He might be. I think, again, I don't know, bro. I can't. Come to think of it, do you know one government that's not corrupt? I'll tell you that much.
There you go. I can't think of one.
That's the only problem. So even a government that claims to be Islamic is a non-Islamic. In my eyes, that is. I feel like the way that they do things is non-Islamic anyway. So, I mean, yeah.
But all these governments, none of them are Islamic, are they? Iran, Saudi,
no,
Emirates.
I mean, I guess, yeah, Saudi, I don't feel like they are pulling their weight either, no.
Hassan Iqbal knows one government that is Islamic. Hassan Iqbal, would you please reveal which country it is that is following Islam in the correct way? Is he going to say England?
I mean, I did know one civilization, shall I say.
Okay, civilization.
Cyrus the Great. No.
Okay, there we go. Persian nationalist. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Hassan Iqbal is suggesting that it's Malaysia and Indonesia. These are the countries that are truly Islamic. Well, that's interesting. And they're almost as far as Islam spread to the east, without any army ever venturing over there, by the way. People traded, and Muslim traders went and mingled and mixed with the local population, and Islam spread that way. And that's interesting that Hassan Iqbal is singling these countries out as having got it right. Are they getting it right because their ancestors adopted the religion, La ikraha fi din, without any compulsion? They chose to follow it, and they are following it correctly. The Persian nationalists, like Mac, argue that, well, my ancestors were forced to become Muslim, so we don't really want to be.
Okay, let me tell you something.
I'm putting words in your mouth there, Mac, and I'm exaggerating.
No, it's fine.
But
Let me
go
tell
ahead.
you something funny, Julian. Do you know how these Iranians are now emphasizing the Zoroastrians? What's funny and ironic to me, it makes me laugh, chuckle up hard, because I know the history of both ends, and the Islamic and the Zoroastrian. And they're like, yeah, we don't want hijab, we're Zoroastrians. And then when you actually go and Google the women's Zoroastrian like dress sense, you'll see that they're wearing like hijabs longer than
They cover even more.
what you wear in Islam.
Interesting.
It's like, wait a minute, do your research before you start claiming to be
Interesting.
Zoroastrian. Look what the women, how modestly they used to dress compared to even Islam. Like, so what are you talking about? Like, it's a confused society to some degree, in my opinion. But again, they are. I do agree that they are non-Islamic, but it's just some of the arguments that's funny. Sometimes I hear it, and it's like they try to claim something, but they haven't really done their research on Zoroastrian either. Because if they did, they'll realize they can't really be using Zoroastrian as an example because they wear more modest and more covered up.
Hassan Iqbal is saying, praise Ahura Mazda, which
100%.
I believe is the good God in Zoroastrianism.
Well, only God. There's just one. It's a monotheistic religion. It's
a car.
Dualistic in the sense that there's an opposing, which is the devil. Because you got to remember, it was Zoroastrianism that introduced the ideology of Satan or the devil, the Angra Mainyu. Yeah. So before Zoroastrian, neither in the Hebrew literature or anywhere you would hear about the devil, or hell even for that matter, even paradise. So the idea...
And paradise,
Yeah.
this is a Persian word, right?
Yeah, it's not just a Persian word, it's a Persian ideology that came from Zoroastrianism. That's what I'm trying to explain. So not only does Zoroastrians introduce the ideology of paradise, but also the idea of hell, but also there's a devil as well. So the concept of the devil started with Zoroastrianism, shall we say.
Well, a quote I often mention from Sheikh Imran Hussein is that, remember, the Quran was not the first time Islam was revealed, it was the last time. So all these ancient religions and Zoroastrianism, if it was preaching one God, as you were arguing it is, then it was Islam. Not necessarily the Islam that we have now, but the original Islam.
Has a problem with them. But again, Zoroastrianism, it's symbolic because they stand in front of the fire, or they're fascinated with the fire. Because the thing is, before electricity, we had nothing but fire, obviously, to not only keep ourselves warm, but maybe to heat. It's a form of light and heat, right? But ultimately, like I say, because Zoroastrianism introduced the ideology of being burnt in hell, so what they do is, symbolically, when they pray in front of the fire. They're not to symbolize, to say, look, God, please, because they knew that fire sterilizes. So what they wanted to do is symbolically say, look, cleanse my sins in this world with this fire, rather than send me to hell in the afterlife, right? So, but Islamically, they thought we were fire worshippers. Do you see what I'm saying?
Do you think that's a mistake? Or were some of them worshipping fire mistakenly themselves?
It could have. That's possible, but obviously, but the thing is, it's not worshipping fire, because it's symbolic thing that we do. They do is they stand in front of the fire to say, look, sterilize my sins. Like, you're worshipping to stir, but at the same time, it's a form of heat and light as well, isn't it? So they see that it provides benefits to mankind.
Non-Muslims look at the Hajj and they say, oh, the Muslims worship the black stone. That's their perception of that ritual.
It's not. It's the black stone came from heaven to you obviously just touch it to get rid of your sins.
I know, but I'm just saying, to the outsider, it can look like you're worshipping fire when you're not. It can look like you're worshipping a black stone when you're not.
Exactly.
Perception. Hassan Iqbal has a lot of knowledge, and he's saying, praise Shahpur, the Shahen Shah, King of Kings. Okay? Shah.
Zakula is not just a Zoroaster. Obviously, I'm a Persian, but I also believe in Islam as well.
Vast knowledge, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, I also believe in the Abrahamic religions. I mean, I'm all for it, and I believe that Zoroastrianism used to be the mother of the Abrahamic religions.
Again, I'll quote Sheikh Imran Hussein. He mentions that the Vedas speak of one God. The ancient Hindu scriptures talk about one God. It's later on that people had ideas of there being more than one, or many, many more. But I appreciate the chat, Mac.
Of course, as always. It was good time. It was good reminiscing as well, bro.
Appreciate it, bro. You've been with this channel from the start. We really appreciate it.
Nice one, bro. I'll keep in touch anyway.
Have a good night.
Good night, my bro.
Great to speak to you, man. Thank you. There you go. Mac doing what anyone else is entitled to do. If you want to get in touch, the number is there, and you can send a voice note if you want. And we'll play it out loud. Do you want to see the last time Saddam Hussein was seen in public before the invasion? Here it is. It's just a picture. Saddam Hussein's last public appearance. The footage was filmed in Baghdad when American troops were 15 minutes away. Yeah, he really wanted to sort of portray himself as a man of the people and ready to put it all on the line. Let's have a look at this one. Here we go.
واطي.
I don't want to big up Saddam Hussein on here because, I've got friends whose families suffered a lot under his brutal dictatorship. But I've also got other friends who say he did something for the Palestinians when other people didn't. So, it's very rarely completely black and white. What about this gentleman in North Africa? He was also regime changed. Colonel Gaddafi, he was all about Africa uniting. When the Arabs turned their back on him, he turned to Africa. And he also showed solidarity with the people of Ireland. Why? Probably because my enemy's enemy is my friend. But this is what he had to say about it.
Of British in the north of Ireland is existence of colonization, and they refuse the colonization, and they struggle fight against the colonization everywhere. And these people have the right to fight against the colonization of England in their land. British soldiers must go home.
He also tried to change the petrol dollar. You try and change that, and look what happens to you. Bye bye. Well, here's one more Saddam Hussein video. As I say, I'm not here to big up Saddam Hussein, but we've got to look at the history.
والعراق يا حضرات.
Yeah, how old would he have been if he was still with us? Saddam Hussein. They executed him on Eid al-Adha, if I'm correct, which was also around the time of New Year's Eve back then. Was it 2006? New Year's Eve? 2006? Hassan Iqbal, it must be a historian, 1916 uprising. Yeah, another sacrifice, another rebellion against British rule. Very good, Hassan Iqbal. You know all about the Zoroastrian religion and Irish history. I wonder if you got up to the letters IR in the encyclopedia and couldn't stop reading. Tonight we've done Iran, Iraq and Ireland, and it's been irreversible. There you go, I haven't got any more IR words. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you joining me on these conversations we've been having. I appreciate Mac getting in touch with me. It's always great to hear from anyone that's been watching this channel, especially someone who's been watching it as long as Mac. Makes life interesting to know all kinds of history. Yeah, absolutely agree with that, Hassan Iqbal. Maybe send us a voice note next time. Give us some history. HIJ will be on Japan and Jamaica next time. It's been Lessons for Life. We'll do it all again soon, God willing. We were here. We are gone. Latest.